Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lula, and as some of you know, I recently joined a chess club. With that chess club, I have started playing in a classical chess league, and I just played my first standalone classical game. I've never played in any type of league before, so I'm very much used to having like a 9-round tournament or 5-round tournament or something like that. But this is the first time I've played just one classical game on its own. No second chance. I'm gonna talk you through how it went, and no spoilers on the results because I know you guys don't like that. It was 90 minutes plus 30 seconds with an extra 30 minutes at move 40. So I had the black pieces as always, and my opponent played d4. I had 5 minutes to prep for this game after finding out my opponent's name. And then I looked on Google and he had like 4 games with d4. So I knew like I had 5 minutes to psychologically prepare for the fact he was going to play d4. He didn't have any games that were d4, d5, which is crazy to me. Like in the database, not a single game was d4, d5. So from here, I was on my own, and we have knight to f3 and knight to f6 because that is what I play. And here obviously they've got lots of options. They can play c4, they can play the London. My opponent decided not to do any of those things, and he played the third most common move, which is e3. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna have some kind of collie. I don't really know anything about the collie, as we're going to find out. My good friend Diana plays the collie, and she is usually like very aggressive when she plays the collie. Shout out to Diana. So I was thinking like, okay, he's probably going to try and do like some stonewally thing. Like maybe he'll put a knight here, maybe he'll play f4. That's just like what you see a lot sometimes when people play collies. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to play principled chess because I actually don't have anything specific prepared here. So c5, hit back at the center. This is just a London, but without the bishop. Not like, definitely not, but sure. c3 and knight to c6. So all completely normal things. Now bishop to d3. Apparently this is not the move. Apparently he should just take my pawn, and then I have to like play a5 obviously to stop them from taking it back. So that was an option, but I mean, I don't think it's very intuitive for white to want to take and ruin their nice triangle, so he didn't. So yeah, I thought that bishop to g4 seemed like the most principled place to put the bishop. Doesn't have many options for places to go other than that. I kind of didn't really think about like if this was an option, and then like I don't know if this is like a thing, but apparently, okay, good. Apparently for me, it's not, this isn't a thing. So very happy to see that this is not a thing. But I never even calculated this, which is bad. Like I should have calculated this. If you look at the situation, there isn't really anywhere else this bishop can go. And I want to be able to play e6 at some point. So bishop to g4 and knight b to d2. So I guess if I take, he wants to take with a knight. Also the knight come to c3 because of c3 being played. e6, castles, and bishop to d6, which again is like just the most principled move in the position. That's all I was trying to do, was just play all the most principled moves. And okay, he takes. Now he takes because obviously usually you wait in positions like this to take until the bishop has moved once, because it makes your opponent lose a tempo. Okay, totally understandable. I was like, this is fine. And then my opponent immediately played e4, like so quickly. At this point, he had used literally no time, by the way. Just to say, he had not used any time whatsoever. I started to notate my time. So yeah, here, I mean, you definitely don't want the center opening with your king in the middle. So if white takes, that's not really a big deal. We can take back and the king won't be open. They cannot push because we can take because of the pin. And so I was just like, okay, I'm just going to castle. I noticed that my opponent had 87 minutes and I only had 80 minutes, which means that I had used a little bit of time, because you have to remember there's 30 seconds increment each move. So I've used like maybe 15 minutes, which is quite a lot. And my opponent has used like maybe 5. And I was just so convinced that he knew exactly what he was doing, like exactly what was going on. Like he played e4 so quickly and like he played everything so quickly. But here, like Stockfish doesn't even think that white is better. Not in my head thinking that white was better, but thinking, oh my god, white knows what they're doing. But I actually don't think he did. I think it was all psychological, like gameplay. So my opponent played h3. And here, okay, Stockfish really wants me to take, oh, and then knight to e5. Yes, I considered this because obviously if they take here, then we win a piece. So they can't take here. So I calculated taking because here I started to think quite a lot. So I looked at queen takes, but I was actually kind of afraid of this move, which Stockfish was like, foolish girl. Why would you be afraid of this move? But I was like, well, what if he just goes here, and then he has the light squared bishop, and like, I don't know. I was just like creating problems in my head, obviously, seeing ghosts. But I was like, well, what if this is a bit spooky? Because I'm not sure that knight to h5, which is the top engine move, is necessarily the move I would have played in this position. If it is, because like knight h5, I don't know, I'm thinking that they can just go here, they attack my bishop, I can't come in and check them, like they're going to cover the squares. I don't know, like I wasn't necessarily thinking that I was much better here, but Stockfish is like, yeah, you're much better here. So actually, I was just like, a little bit spooked. And I did see that this was possible. Yeah, I did. But I was like, oh, I don't know. What if G takes is, I mean, G takes should never be scary, right? Because like, G takes. But I don't know, maybe he would have played it. It would have been a very different game. Here, I should obviously just be happy because I am going to have the scary bishop. That light squared bishop is the spooky enemy bishop, you know? And now it's like a very equal position. We both have dark squared bishop and a knight. But here I decided to go back, and my opponent decided that he didn't like that. He did not like that. And so he played g4. And I was like, interesting. g4. I don't know. He was still playing very quickly. Like, he spent 2 minutes and he played g4. He has used pretty much no time so far. I mean, I very extremely briefly considered taking, because you always have to very briefly consider taking to see if there's anything concrete here. And Stockfish is like, yeah, you're equal, but let's be honest, guys, what am I getting here? Like, I don't think I'm getting anything concrete. We have a little bit of pressure. I don't think the pressure is enough. I don't really know how to continue. Like, I would have just assumed that they can play knight to b3. Oh, but maybe not because of this move. But then they can take my bishop. Oh my god, that's so messy. Yeah, this is like not a kind of complication where I would be like, yeah, let's go into this exact complication. That looks kind of spooky. But knight to g5, and yeah, there's like a lot going on. So I'm just like, I have the pawns for the material. I'm not technically down any material, but I don't really like this situation. I'm not convinced that I would thrive in this situation. So I decided not to play that. I decided to play bishop to g6 because I was like, okay, we can counteract the potentially spooky bishop. Like if they try to create a battery, or if they're trying to attack my king side, like at least I can use my bishop against this bishop. That was my plan as well. It was like, if I had traded it for this knight, I was like, So that was it. It wasn't really any deeper than that. And then he immediately plays queen e2, best move. And I'm like, okay, is he still in his prep? Does he know what's going on? Because I don't know what's going on. And here I was very unhappy. I was very unhappy because I calculated that if like takes everything, I was like, I don't like this position for me. I was like thinking, I really hate this position for me, because like if I wanted to like try and put my queen somewhere, then they're gonna get a tempo, they're gonna attack me, or my queen might even run out of squares, and then also like they're gonna get a tempo here, or like my queen sucks, my pieces aren't very good. And here, okay, the engine wants me to play f5, which like I briefly considered and immediately discarded because I was like, okay, this doesn't really look very fun for me. Stockfish. I can't believe Stockfish wants this. This is just not a fun time. Like, who thinks that this is a good time? I have one trick in the whole position is to hope that they don't see this pin. I don't know. It just didn't feel like a very good vibe for me. Personally, didn't feel that inclined to play this way and give up my e6 pawn. I don't think that's very human. So I was like, I really don't want to get this position because I don't know where my queen goes. I don't know where any of my pieces go. It's a massive transformation of the minor pieces. And then I have no idea how to play the rest of the chess game. So here I spent quite a lot of time, I think. In the next couple of moves, I spent like 10, 15 minutes, which is really bad because I was like, how do I make these transformations not awful for me? So I decided to take, obviously. even though Stockfish was like, no, you shouldn't take. So, a minute ago, Stockfish was like, yeah, you should trade in the center. And now it's saying I should play queen c7. And I guess, yeah, queen c7 stops any push. Queen c7 is definitely the best move. Okay, well, I didn't see queen c7 because I was psyched out by my opponent. I was psyched out by my opponent playing so quickly and seemingly knowing exactly what he was doing. And I was like also a little bit concerned about all of these pawns coming for me, because I was like, if they get to push these pawns or like play some, like I just didn't really like it. I was like, I really don't want my king to be attacked right now, even though he's castled here, so I don't really truly believe in it. Especially with like the potential for the open center. So I trade in the center. I'm like, okay, we'll make some trades. And then here, I was like, now what do I do? Because I already established that I don't want to make all these central trades. And apparently here I can just play like this and, again, go for this little fun little tic-tac trick. And again, it likes these f5 ideas, and f5 is like a move I considered at like different points. I don't know. I was put off by f5 by knowing that it would like permanently weaken my king and my pawn structure, and that I would maybe lose the e pawn. Like it just felt very icky to play. But here I spent way too long think, wrong think, and then I played bishop to b6, which, I mean, it's not a blunder or anything. Maybe it's an inaccuracy, but it's definitely not the best move, because I figured like if takes, g takes, I had planned, I was like, oh, well, I can always potentially play f5 this way at some point, or I just like, I wasn't too concerned about this. I was like, I have a good reinforcement against any pawn attacks. I was okay with this. Like I had decided that this would be okay. That's not what happened. That is not at all what happened. They played bishop to g5, and I was like, oh shit. Like in my head I was like, oh shit, like genuinely, because I was like, this looks really uncomfy for me. Like this looks really awkward. We got the pin, we got the double attack. So I was like, okay, I think I just need to chop off this knight. I trade it off for the bishop pair, but it's like not the worst thing in the world. And here again, I have queen d6 to go for this trick. And to be totally honest with you, I did not see this queen to g3 idea until much later in the game. I just was not in the right headspace to be combative, because I thought that I was worse. Like I was way too pessimistic, obviously. Like here, I just was convinced that I was worse already. Like here I was like, is it like +2? And it's like -2 almost. So I just was psychologically like, oh, I'm so bad at chess. Gotta have a little bit more faith in myself. And even here after this move, it's still equal. I'm still not worse. And even here, I'm still not worse, but I was absolutely convinced I was worse here. And I knew that I did not want to keep the pin to the queen, but I was like, well, what do I do? Because if I move the queen away, then I didn't want g takes here when I don't have a bishop to cover as well. Like I wanted that only if I had the bishop to cover. I don't know. It was just my brain doing strange things. Now here I was also really stressed about the potential of takes and messing up my pawn structure in an endgame. I was like, I would hate that. I would hate that so much. I was like, should I play rook c8 in this position? Fully knowing that rook d1 is the next move that's coming. And I was like, well, what do I do in this position? Like, how do I keep going? Because I was probably going to play queen e7, even though I should play queen c7 for this trick. And I was like, I don't think that this is good. I don't know. So I did not play rook c8. And I was like, well, maybe they just won't give up their bishop for my knight. And I just played hope chess and I played h6. Because if they trade, I'm very happy about that trade. Because I think this bishop is a good piece. This knight I can like reroute potentially. They have like maybe some weaknesses on their squares here. So I don't know. I thought that this I felt better in my position here, even though Stockfish thinks this is not as good. I was like, this position feels not so bad for me. But anyway, after h6, rook a d1, I knew this was coming. Again, I should go for this idea, and again, I miss it. So queen e7 and bishop back. I was like, okay, Mr. Man, g5. Like you played g4, I'm gonna play g5. And I was like, is he gonna do it? Then there's, I think, like an intermezzo. So like tactically it doesn't really work out because like here, and I take the bishop. I was like, is he gonna sack? And then he didn't, thankfully, because I would have been psychologically freaked out by the sack anyway. And I played knight to e4, so I got my bishop back. And I was like, this position is fine. And here again, I considered f5. And here again, it is the top engine move. And here again, I did not play it because I was like, this seems rash. This seems very rash. I was like, after all of this, like my king is so open and that's very spooky to me. And I didn't like the idea of that. But I guess because I can pretty much force them to trade the queens, otherwise the bishop gets trapped. I think that's probably the nuance that I missed. This is just like an equal position, I guess. I don't really like equal endgames though. They're really boring. I actually am really glad we did not go into this really boring equal ending because I'm not the endgame queen. So I played rook a to d8. I was like, let's just play in the center. Playing in the center is principled. What I also enjoyed about my f pawn being where it is that my king felt like relatively safe because they don't have a light square bishop. I felt okay about my king. I know you guys are gonna be like, Lula, your king is so not safe right now. I was worried about h4. I was just like, I think gonna ignore it and just like play takes. That was my big plan for h4 was takes. And unfortunately the queen is babysitting, but I guess hopefully we can find a different way around that. But yeah, I was a little bit worried about h4. Here, my opponent, I think, started to spend some time for like the first time in the game. Maybe. I mean, he didn't really spend any time in the whole game. Like he played so fast and I played so slowly. This is what, move 19. I had 39 minutes on the clock. 39. I still have 21 moves to make before time control. My opponent has 77 minutes. So, yes. Time management skills. I know, not very good. I thought that just activating my final piece, one thing I forgot to mention about rook a to d8 as well is it prevents us from getting skewered. Always activate your pieces. Like it's a very natural move, but it also just like prevents us from getting skewered because that would have been very unpleasant. Anyway, knight to e5. Okay, here the engine likes bishop to c7, which is not actually something that I had considered because I thought that this looked so unpleasant. Like, why are we doing this and like getting this pawn structure? I didn't like this. Anyway, I didn't like the idea of knight takes knight and having two isolated pawns in general. Like, I just didn't really want that. So I decided to take and I was fine. I knew bishop takes was coming. I thought maybe queen to f3 was in the air. Queen to f3, bishop to f6 kind of ideas were in the air, maybe. I don't know. To deflect my queen and then like maybe like, I don't know, bishop e5, queen f6 to try and checkmate me kind of thing. I didn't really know. Again, considered stuff like f5. Yeah, I spent a little bit of time here, oh my god, because I had so much time to spend, and I, with 27 minutes left on the clock, played queen to c5, because I thought that if here, then I could play here, and I was okay with this, so I wasn't too worried about bishop to d4. And obviously there are certain like tactics, so if they do like nothing, I can take and obviously do this. This is not something my opponent should fall for, obviously. But I honestly didn't really know how to continue my attack after this. Like if there is any way to continue the attack after this, I'm not sure that there is. I'm up a pawn and the king is not great, but like, okay. Yeah, we wouldn't complain. My opponent played rook takes, and then attacked my queen. I was like, okay, you attack my queen. My plan was just to go here to c7. And then my opponent played a move I didn't really, which I kind of did understand because like this tactic has been in the air for so long, but they can just chop off the bishop, so it's not such a big deal. I played king to g2, which I feel like wasn't necessary at this exact moment because there had been so many, like maybe he just noticed like potential tactics with it because I noticed it kind of like around here when I was planning on like doing any stuff if I needed to. That's how late I noticed this like queen g3 idea in the game. Mainly because the whole game I had just been trying not to lose. Because I was playing on board one as well. And when you're playing on board one of a team event, you just don't want to lose. Like that is the main goal, is to not lose. Like, more than winning, much more than winning. The main goal is to not lose the game. So I really didn't want to embarrass myself. It was also my first game in the league. So I really wanted to play a respectable game. Okay, so my opponent gives me a pawn. Basically, as you can see, like I was like, here I must be winning a pawn. Apparently not. I was like, I was like queen to b6, I win a pawn. But Stockfish doesn't like my plan. Stockfish is like rook to d5. Of course, rook to d5. I misplayed this. I really thought that I was just simply winning a pawn, but Stockfish has other plans. But okay, so rook to d5 to keep the queen from getting any counterplay. This is very nice. It's a nice move. But yeah, anyway, I thought that trading off the bishops was best. Stockfish agrees, but for different reasons. Anyway, I won a pawn, so it worked out for me. Whatevs. But my opponent was very tricky. Like, I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna activate my pieces and I'm gonna try and Pac-Man some more pawns because it's the only way I know how to win this. So my opponent gives a check and I'm like, okay, whatever. I did consider playing king to h7, but then I was worried about moves like this. Like I was quite worried about moves like this, but like Stockfish is like, oh, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think I was just like quite afraid of my opponent for no reason. I didn't need to be afraid of my opponent. Like at the end of the day, he was just a man. Like every opponent at the end of the day is just a man, you know? Or sometimes it's a woman, but like very rarely. But most of the time in your head, you can just be like, this is just a guy, you know? I forgot to do my thing that I did in the tournament I played in December. My thing being that during every game, I just told myself that of course I can win this game. I'm just the better chess player, obviously. And this game, I definitely did not think I was the better chess player just because I'd used so much time to achieve absolutely nothing. I grabbed another pawn. I'm 2 pawns up and I was like, this can't be bad to be 2 pawns up. Psychologically, I was on the up here and I think my opponent was not happy. So I think my opponent was quite unhappy actually. I didn't want any checks to come in, so queen is covering. I reconnect my pieces because I'm somehow terrified of losing one of them. Rook to d1, and I'm like, let's trade the rooks. Bam, bam. Bring the queen back to cover the king. And then here I was like, well, I'm just up 2 pawns in an endgame. Like, this is great. I just can trade the queens and win the game. But I just like didn't really know how to do that. I don't know why I didn't just play queen to d5 because like if they trade, like I'm just winning. I create a pass pawn here. I have this pass pawn they have to worry about, and on this side I have equal pawns. I should absolutely have played queen to d5. I mean, they can still try to come in and check me. It's not as simple, I think, as it looks. Personally, I don't think it's as simple as it looks. And then maybe here, I don't know, I can start going for stuff and things maybe. But I was a little bit too confident. It's either all or nothing with me, obviously, all or nothing. And I was like, a5, time for me to promote a pawn. Time for me to promote a pawn, a5. And then my opponent played this kind of spooky looking move, queen to d8. And I was like, oh my God, queen to d8. And after queen to d8, I spent way too long. I spent 15 minutes and I went from 18 minutes to 5. Yes, 18 minutes to 5 with 4 moves left to make because this is move number 37. I was very worried here. I was terrified. I was like, I can't push this pawn. What was I worried about? Like being checkmated, basically. Like I have to keep checking because of queen to g8 mate. I don't know. Anyway, I was seeing some perpetual check kind of ideas that I really didn't like the look of. I was like looking at lots of different options. I was like, can I keep all my pawns? Like everything felt bad. And here they can just take on f6. And I really didn't like that. Like everything just, I was like, I'm no longer winning this game. And so here I played a king to f7 and I was like, they can just take my pawn and I'll just thug it out. That was my exact thought process that took me 15 minutes. I was like, here, I'll just give up my pawn and thug it out. And I was like, okay, I'm still up a pawn. Like, it should still be a 2-result game, win or draw. My opponent didn't take the pawn though, and I was like, okay, because they played this move. And I had briefly considered this move. I was like, okay, well, what if they do that? And here I was like, I don't have much time on the clock, so I should give some checks. Because for some reason, Mr. Dodgy came into my head, and I was like, Mr. Dodgy would tell me to give checks. I don't know if that's true. And he'll never watch this video because he doesn't watch any of my videos because he's not that supportive of a friend. So he will never tell you yes or no if he would give checks in this position. I kind of feel like he would. So I decided it's time to start giving some checks in this position. I was like, should I repeat once? Maybe I repeat once. And then I decided not to. I decided to play this move, queen to c2, because I don't want basically I was like, oh, well, if I play a random move, like they're going to check and then they're gonna like take all my pawns with check, basically. That was my thought process. I was like, I don't really want that to happen to me. Don't really want them to take all of my pawns with check. Like at the very least, they have to take it with not check, you know? And I was like, oh, if they take with not check, then it's not so bad. All I know is that in this position, when they run out of checks, I felt good. I felt good about the prospect of white running out of checks, because that was my only fear, was some kind of perpetual check, or the queen checking me and skewering all of my stuff and things and taking everything I know and love. So yeah, I played that move, queen to c2, and I was like, yes, I am in control. And then my opponent played queen h7 check, and I took his queen, and he resigned. And that was a game on move 40. So I was definitely pushing it at the end because I had 1.5 minutes on move 39. I actually think maybe I was the only one who won in the team. And okay, you can say that I got a bit lucky, but I was never worse in this game, I don't think. Let me do a chess.com game review. 86% accuracy, no blunders, a couple of mistakes from both sides, but Stockfish is actually very complimentary. It gives my opponent 1950 and me 2300. But I think it's because like the level of mistakes, other than hanging his queen at the end, the level of mistakes were not like too rudimentary. Yeah, this was like a solid win. I should get some elo, like 8 points maybe. I don't really know. My opponent, I don't really know if my opponent's rating was, it says like 1700-ish, 1691 on my sheet, I think, if I can read handwriting. But yeah, I won this game. Hold on. There we go. I won this game, and it was, like I said, my first game playing in the league, and I was very happy to be able to win that because it's a good start. And now like I feel like there's a little bit of pressure off. Obviously I want to still win all of my games if possible, but there's a little bit of pressure off because I have proven that I can win a game and proving that you are capable of winning at least one game can only be good. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this game. I'm sorry if the ending was a little bit anticlimactic. Like that truly is how it ended. But I have another game coming up this weekend, which when this video comes out will be tomorrow, because oh my gosh, this video will come out on Saturday and my game is on Sunday. Scary times. Wish me luck in my next game. I hope to be able to share that recap with you. Subscribe if you haven't already. I try to upload videos every Saturday. Thanks for watching. Have a great day wherever you are. Bye guys.